Hello guys, welcome to Ultimate Mathematics Frederick. Always the head is very big for a reason. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to Ultimate Mathematics Frederick. Okay, let's start. Today we are actually going to talk about simplex method, an aspect of linear programming. That is operational research. And also this simplex method is all about maximization and minimization. Let's take a very brief question in order to clear certain doubts. Okay, taking the equations 2y1 plus 4y2 less or equal to 40. Then also the next thing is taking our y1 plus our y2 less or equal to 12. Then 5y1 plus y2 less or equal to 40. So what actually you have to do is so you should maximize p, which is equal to 20y1 plus 30y2, such that y1, y2 are greater or equal to 0. So this p here is what we call the objective function. And these three equations we have here are what we call the constraints. Okay, so what we're actually going to do here is that we are going to introduce stack variables in order to be able to solve this problem. So we are actually going to rewrite this whole equations here. They are about 1, 2, 3, which is the constraint, then 1, the objective function. So we are going to write our 2y1 again by equating them to 0 plus y 4y2. We introduce a stack variable, let me say s1. Then we equate it to what? 40. Then we are going to take the next one, which is actually the y1 plus y2. Then we introduce the second stack variable, which is s2 is equal to 12. Then we take the third one, which is 5y1 plus y2 plus s3. Then we equate it to what? 40. Then we take the objective function, then also equate that one to what? 0. So I have my p here. Watch very carefully. My p here minus my 20y minus my 30y2 should be equal to what? 0. So once you have gotten this, we need to put it on a tabla. So on the tabla, what we actually find over there is what? We find the coefficient of everything. The coefficient of everything. So I have my y1, I have my y2, I have my s1, I have my s2, I have my s3, I have my p here. Then actually refixing the coefficient. Let me say for the first equation here, I have 2, 4, 1, 0, 0, 0, which is equal to what? 40. The 2 is here, the 4 is here, the 1 is here, actually the coefficient, but we don't write it. And for S2 has no value there, S3 has no value there, P has no value there. So this is the 40. Then for the next one, we have 5, we have 1. I'm actually writing this one, so don't get confused. I'm actually writing this one. Okay, you let me not confuse you. Let's go step by step. I'm actually writing this y1 1, then 0 1, then 0 0. Okay, for the third one, I have 5 1. Sorry, I have 5 1. Then I also have 0 0 1 0. So here I have 12, here I have 40, here I have 0. Then the coefficient of the objective function, I have minus 20, I have minus 30. I have 0, I have 0, I have 0, I have 1 for p. Okay, So we then proceed by finding the ratios. And also, there is a technique here. Most of the time, students get confused when it comes to this technique. What they actually do is that they always concentrate on this first column, which is bad. What you're actually going to do in order to get your pivot element is you're actually going to watch the negatives, which of them has the biggest value. In other words, some lecturers will say find the smallest negative value, which is what? Minus 30. But I'm also going to put it in a way that look for the highest number carrying the negative value. So we know that to be what? 30. So we are actually not going to deal with the first column. We are actually going for what? The second column. So we are finding the ratios now. So we take this one, 40, then we divide it by 4. Then the next one, we take our 12 and we divide the 12 by 1. Then also 40, we divide it by 1. So this is actually going to be a tantamount to 10, 12 here. Then we also have our at 40 here. So we now look for what? The least value. The least value is actually what? 12. So the the least value here is actually 10. And 10 runs through to what? 4 here. So now our 4 here is our pivot element. So what you're actually going to do is that we are actually going to make this 4 here 1, and what is below it all. That's this one here, and this minus 30 here. We are going to make them 0. So we're actually going to develop equations for them that are actually going to make this thing actually happen. So we are going to first take the equation that is making R1 equals R1 over 4, or someone will say 1 over 4 R1 here. Then I'm going to make R2 should be equal to our R2 minus R1 to get that 0. Then our R3, we are going to make our R3 actually R3 minus R1 to get that 0. And you're actually going to make our R4 to be equal to R4 here minus 30 R1 to actually get that 0. So let us work with these equations we have developed and see what is actually the recipe or the tantamount to what we are doing. So y1, y2, s1, s2, s3, p. Then as we know, as usual, we rule the line here. We are actually dealing with a tabular. So our y1, the values for I have, after manipulating this with the various equations I've actually developed, I'm going to get 1 over 2 here, 1, 1 over 4, then 0, 0, 0, then 10 here. Then the next one, after manipulating, I'm actually going to get 1 over 2, 0, minus 1 over 4. Then my S2 for here, I'm actually going to get 1, 0, 0, and 2 here. Then what I'm actually going to do, I have my 9 over 2 here by manipulating of the formula. Then I have 0 minus 1 over 4. Then I also have 0, 1, 0. Then I have here to be what? 30. So by manipulation of this formula here, I'm actually having my minus 5 here. My zeros I'm looking for. Then I have my 15 over 2 here. I have 0, 0, and I have 1 here. So getting 300 at this side. So after I've done this, I can see that I have actually fulfilled what I'm actually looking for. So the next thing for me to do now is what? I'm actually, since there is a negative here still, so I'm actually going to go over the whole step again by finding my ratios again. So my ratios now again, I'm having 10 divided by 1 over 2, which will give me 20. Then I also have another ratio, which is 2 divided by 1 over 2, which will give me 4. Then I also have 30 divided by 9 over 2, which will give me, that's a 20 over 3. Scrutinizing this thing very well, we can see that we have the least ratio is what? The 4. The least ratio is the 4 because 20 divided by 3 is giving us decimals, that is 6 point something, which is higher than this 4. So indirectly, our pivot element runs through the value 4, which is gotten from what? Our second ratio here. Our second ratio here. So, which is what? Our 1 over 2, which I've circled here. So, what I'm actually going to do finally is that I'm also going to generate I'm also going to generate formulas that are actually going to give me to make my pivot element here to be equal to 1, and anything above it or below it going to be what? 0. So let us see those formulas. I can say my R2 is equal to 2R1. Sorry, 2R2. Sorry, 2R2. Then I can also say that my R1 should actually be equal to R1 minus 1 over 2R2. Then I can say my R3 should be equal to my R3 should be equal to R3 minus 9 over 2 R2, and my R4 should be equal to R4 plus 5R2. Okay, so as you have gotten this formulas, what you're actually going to do is that we are going to do those manipulations and fix them on the table. What I'm actually doing is that I'm actually solving these questions, not trying to draw a whole lot of tabula, but the understanding is very key. So I have my y1 here, my y2 here, my s1, my s2, my s3, my p. So by manipulating these formulas, I have 0, 1, 1 over 2, minus 1, 0, 0, 8. Then I also have here 1, 0. Then I also have minus 1 over 2, 2, 0, 0. I have 0, 0, 0, 0, minus, 2, 9 should be minus 0. Then here 12. Okay, so here I'm going to get a 320. 1 here. Now 1 here, then 10 here. Then here is actually going to be 0. Then here is also going to be 0. A 5, a 0 here. Okay, so let me say we have finished the work. So what we're actually going to do is that this question, I actually brought this question just to clear certain doubts in most students' memories. You see that at this stage, what the students does is that they see the first row to be where their y1 should be. It's a lie. But one thing you are going to do is that you are clearly going to scrutinize this tabular very well. We know that or I can say your teacher, I can state it emphatically that your teacher maybe told you or your lecturer told you that when you actually finish solving, you first look for the ones. The ones will determine what? Your answers. And it's very true. So looking here, you can see that there is no one on the first row. This is the first row, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. You can see from the first row, there is no one here. There is no one under the y1. So you can't take it to be what? Your y1. You see what I'm saying? Row 2, we can see that there is one under the y2. So we can take that one as what? Our y2. There is one under the y1. So we can take that to be our y1 and trace it to where? The solution part, which is 4. So I can say my y1 here is equal to what? 4. After doing it, we are going to put it in a formula and see whether what I'm saying is actually true. Then my y2, we can see that under here, on the first row, our y2, we have 1 under it. So we can say our y2 is equal to what? 8. Then max p, our maximum p should be equal to what? 320. So let us see whether what I'm saying is actually correct. Let me take the objective function. The objective function is actually equal to, we have 20y1 plus 30y2. So 20, then I have 4 here, plus 30, I have 8 here. It's going to give me 320. But look at something. If I should quickly come and say my y1, okay, because there is 1 here, okay, my y1 is 8 and my y2 is 4, you see that I'm not actually going to get this 320, but I'm actually going to get 280, which is wrong. So I beg, you're actually going to look at the work that way. Look at it very well, but there are certain techniques I'll be doing on my next lecture to actually make things very easy. I've started some. If you are new to this channel, I beg kindly subscribe to Ultimate Mathematics Frederick. And also, we're actually going to actually brief you in maths, let you understand what is actually going on. And at the end of the day, you see that maths is no problem, but it's all about solutions. Thank you very much, and to meet again, adios. Bye.